Good evening once again, and welcome to another edition of the Bits and Pieces Cricket Podcast, where bit by bit, piece by piece, we want to make you more familiar with the game. And for those of us who are already fans, who are already, into the cricket, we're gonna trap you in some intriguing discussions on the game with regard to technique, the legendary players, and so on. So please like the broadcast, share, tell a friend, all right? And we will be back with you in just a few seconds. All right, we've got a new face with us in Samuel Mahabi. Samuel, please tell our audience who you are. Introduce yourself.
Thank you, Anansi, and thank you for having me here tonight. I'm happy to be here, very excited to be here. Like you said, my name is Samuel Mahabir, and I am a representative from Phoenix Cricket Club.
Okay, great. Good to hear from you. Basil, what's going on in the world of cricket? You had started to give me some insight. Give us a quick roundup on what's going on, what's exciting happening in the world of cricket.
Well, we have firstly West Indies is in Netherlands. They won the second one-day ODI match this afternoon. And also you have the test match started today at Lord's in England between New Zealand and England, obviously. 17 wickets fell on one day. I think New Zealand was bowled out for 132 and England is 116 for 7 in reply. From a West Indies perspective, give some kudos to Brandon King, 9-1 not out, I think, and the other young man, Carty, second ODI was 4-6 not out. The two of them came together and put on a 100-run partnership to, we wobbled a bit there, West Indies. Some of our fans were saying, wait, we can't lose to a team that plays football. and also here, in the region, there is the first class, the third rung, the final rung of the first class tournament. Well, I think rain fell today in Trinidad because I think most of the games there was no play today or very little play today in Trinidad. Yeah.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you for that. Have you been following anything that's happening in the U.S. with in Texas?
Oh yes. Oh, and yes, I have. I've been taking a peek at the games. The U.S. were playing. I was watching them play yesterday against UAE. I saw some parts of the games when they played against Scotland earlier. So that's also, pardon me, that's also international cricket that's playing right here in our backyard.
In the good old U.S.
Yes, because those teams are playing for the right to go to the World Cup qualifying tournament for the next 50 over World Cup next year in India. So they're playing for the right to get to that qualifying tournament.
Good. So Sam, you follow any of the cricket that's happening in and around the U.S.? Outside of what's happening in New York?
I do. I try to follow as much as I can, time permitting. Especially here in New York, I try to follow the leagues quite closely, especially with the type of competition that we tend to have here, especially in the New York Cricket League.
Right. Okay. Good. All right. We have our own Brian, Brian Kane, who is an umpire, and he's currently in Texas. And he prepared this little clip for us. All right. This is Brian Kane in Texas.
Hi everybody, Brian R. Kane here, Bits and Pieces unofficial umpiring correspondent. I'm coming to you live from beautiful Houston, Texas, where we have just seen Team USA beat the UAE by 4 wickets at Musa Stadium to take home their second win in the CWC League 2 clashes here at Musa Stadium. Now, I was not involved in the game today. I have been invited here to Houston to umpire a couple of the warm-up games for some of the incoming international teams. So right now, the USA is playing against Scotland and the UAE over at Musa Stadium. But starting tomorrow over at Prairie View Cricket Complex, the nations of Oman and Nepal will be playing warm-up games for their upcoming series against the Nepali All-Stars, a local team owned and operated by local Nepalis. There's lots of Nepali press here. I just came out of the press conference there. And then a Major League Cricket Select 11, which is basically an all-star team of all of the foreign players who are in the U.S. but are not yet qualified to play for the U.S. A select 11 of those men will be playing against the nation of Oman, who I believe currently sit number 2 or 3 in the Cricket World Cup League 2 standings. It's an amazing opportunity for me to be here to get some real experience at a much higher level that I haven't seen before. I'll be working with the first time this week with full ODI squads from Nepal and Oman, and I just can't wait to take that opportunity by the horns and really advance my own case for higher honors here in umpiring. It's also really important that these games go forward and they go forward smoothly for the future of USA cricket. We know that there's a T20 World Cup coming up in the US in a few years, and it's going to be a real test of our facilities here in Houston to see if they can stage these 12 ODIs over the course of 4 or 5 weeks. I'm really excited to play my small part in it and hope that we can only see USA cricket buoyed again and again by events like this. I want to thank Major League Cricket for inviting me here to do these games. Major League Cricket is the entity that will be starting a full-service professional T20 league in the United States starting in 2023 with 6 teams around the country, fully built stadiums. It's a huge push for cricket around the country. They, of course, also operate minor league cricket, which will be coming back to your TV and YouTube screens in the middle of June this year. So I'm really looking forward to doing a lot more games in minor league cricket. I'm really excited for this opportunity, and I hope that everybody out there is tuning in to USA take on the rest of the world in these ODIs. Thanks so much again for having me. Anansi, I'll see you next time.
All right, that's our own umpire, Brian Kin, giving us some tidbits on what's happening with USA cricket. All right, today we want to look at the art of running between wickets. Was that ever a difficulty for you back in your playing days, Basil?
Not really, but I would say this. One of the things in my formative years, that was not something we really paid a lot of attention and working on. Okay. We just knew the basics. We would say yes, no, and wait or stay on or something like that, to make sure that the ball passed the fielder before you attempted the run. Is until when I got into coaching that I understood the importance of actually, as part of practice, that was an aspect that we had to work on, because especially now with the advent of in the old days, the umpires would make the decision and so on and so forth. But now these days that we have the TV, you want the players to be cognizant of that and develop the right techniques, because that could make the difference between winning and losing the game. And the worst, most batters will tell you, the worst way to get out is to run out, because it's not based on your skill at the crease or the bowler. It was a mix-up of great proportions and on both people's parts.
Okay. What about you, Sammy? Do you find that players pay much attention to the art of running? Is there much conversation about that?
No, not at all. Running between the wickets, something that is so important in the game that I believe it's not emphasized enough, especially in this day and age with the explosive type of cricket that we have in T20 cricket and the superstars going around the world. You know, when you talk about making runs and the guys who make these runs, automatically the conversation goes to an explosive batsman such as a Chris Gale, Andrew Russell. These guys are all six-hitting, boundary-hitting guys. Little attention is paid to guys who accumulate their runs through working the crease, getting their singles, their ones, and turning those ones into twos and threes. And sometimes you look at the game where a batsman to that caliber, he comes into bat, and before you know it, this guy is on 60 odd runs heading towards 100, and you're sitting there thinking, how did that guy get that run, So it's something that's not emphasized well enough in the game of cricket.
Good. Yeah. All right, we're going to play a little clip with the great Australian Ricky Ponting, talking about a few tips on running between the wickets.
Excellent running.
And he's coming back for another one. And he's just home.
In my opinion, part of being a good batsman is being a good runner between the wickets. When you're batting, communication is everything. Your calls must be loud and clear. The three calls we use are yes, no, and wait. Never say go because it sounds like no. As a rule, if the ball goes in front of the wicket, it's the striker's call. If it goes behind the wicket, it's the non-striker's call. The non-striker should be backing up every ball. You don't have to be a fast runner to be a good runner between the wickets. You can make up time with efficient turns. An efficient turn means getting low in to the crease and also out of the crease, making the most of the length of your bat and the handle. And remember, never turn blind. Always turn facing the fieldsman. When finishing your run, ground your bat about a metre before the line and slide it over. So work hard on your running between the wickets. Doing so could add 10 to 20 runs to your total, which could be the difference between winning and losing the game.
Basil, never say go. It sounds too close to no. What's your take on that?
Well, I didn't get, for some reason, the thing didn't show.
Oh, you didn't get much of the song?
No, I didn't. Not the song. The video at all didn't show on my thing.
On your end? Okay.
Yeah, guys could say go. Go is a go. I prefer the basics. Yes and no. Wait. Don't get things too complicated. As I always, when I work with players and have conversations with teams, is a single is never a single unless both batters have agreed that it's a single. You would often hear a batter get run out and you say, well, the man in this and so on and so forth. And you have to remind the player that it's never a single until the both of you agree to it. And then, maybe later, if you want to, we get into some of the basic tips that you would want both batters to be cognizant of when they're running singles, because you see a lot of basic fundamental errors that oftentimes lead to guys getting run out. And if they had done the basics, they wouldn't have been run out.
Right. The first thing we want to talk about is backing up, You're at the non-strikers end. How do you back up? We'll talk about that in a few seconds. All right, we're going to show a clip of a local game. There's nothing, extravagant, nothing too much, too exciting happening. But I want us to look at the guy in the non-strikers end and then you two guys can tell us what he was doing wrong in terms of what he was doing right in terms of preparing to back up, right? We want to talk about how do you prepare to back up. Okay, boss. So what are the rules there? You're at the non-strikers end. How do you hold your bat? Is your bat supposed to be on the ground? Where do you place your eyes? The basic rules as you're preparing to back up.
The first thing is, well, you keep your eyes on the bowler because you want to make sure the ball is bowled before your bat lead. I'll tell you this I'll just give you one pet peeve I have, and I maintain this is my position as a coach and so on. I do not want my batters to be leaving the crease, i.e. their bat must still be in the crease after the ball is bowled and played, because I'm not trading no wicket for a straight drive back coming touching off the bowler's hand and my batter gets run out because of backing up too far. That is too much of a high price to pay for one run, right? So I want to give that caveat. Now, as you're backing up, you would want to have the bat in your left hand so that you could see the bowler, 1, 2, that you will be able to take a step even out of the crease, but your bat is still in the crease. You look at the bowler, and once the ball is bowled, now you're looking to see where the ball has been hit. Your focus is to see where the ball has been hit. And then both of you will make a decision whether it's a run or not. The batter who hit the ball, particularly if he hits the ball in front, we would usually say it's his call because the ball is in front of him, and he or she would say wait or yes. The ball is played behind them. You're the one that sees the ball as a non-striker, and you could be in charge of saying yes or no, because he or she would turn the ball and say you got somebody feeling at short, third man or 45 or this backward square. You're running to the danger end, the closer end. So you have to make the decision as to tell the guy, no, because you can't make it because the field is coming in. The ball is hit pretty hard. So all of those variables, both batters have to have in their mind. And again, because if you don't practice these things, because it seems so routine, people don't practice it, and they end up making a mistake. Like the guy turns the ball to the guy at chart backward square, and the batter take off in a hurry, and you stand in the crease saying, no, you want to see where the ball go. Then he get run out. He or she get run out, then they walking back, cussing, you run me out. But you see, if all those variables, you practice running between the wickets and understanding who makes which call when, etc., and not to be another thing too. I would just want to point out too with the backing up. Once you see the ball played and both batters have made the choice to make the run, your focus now is trying to get to the other end, not looking where the ball was hit. Because again, we have seen many guys been run out or guys or gals been run out because they're looking at the ball and not focusing, which is their priority to get to the other end.
Okay. So Samuel, as a bowler, how are you influenced in your delivery choices at all by how you see the guys running or how you see a guy backing up? Do you get distracted by that?
Sometimes you tend to do as a bowler, you tend to get a little distracted depending on the non-striker. For example, based on your field set, and if the batsman is trying to sneak through with a single, sometimes that gets into your mind while going through your delivery stride. Sometimes, I try not to pay attention too much of that, because at the end of the day, it's about the delivery that is going to be bowled that is most important. What happens after that delivery is bowled would come into play based on a run out action or stopping a run from happening. So, looking at it from a bowling point of view, not so much.
Okay, all right.
Excellent.
Let's look at a little mix up here.
Down the track, and there's a mix up here, and in the end.
Okay, Samuel, what you saw happening
Andy,
there with those?
For some reason, Andy, the video isn't playing on my end.
It's not playing.
Just stop.
Wow. Okay, you were able to see it, Samuel?
Yes, I got a good look at that one.
Okay. From your view, Samuel, what do you think was happening with the two batsmen?
Well, there was a whole lot happening there to begin with. There was a short pitch delivery. The batsman seemed a little bit uncomfortable. Regardless of that, after the ball would have been played, the ball was clearly went in the direction of behind of the non-striker. And you can clearly see that the non-striker took the opportunity to say, no run. Where it comes down to the fundamental. It was not his call. The striking batsman, he had the best angle of view to determine if that was a run. And, something like that comes down to trusting the batter. This is something that you would learn as a fundamental when batting in partnership. You need to trust the batter. You need to trust the caller, depending on where the ball was played. And clearly the non-striker, he did not follow these basic rules that could have led to a mix-up or a run-out.
All right. Basil, I want to try to play next one more time for you. I don't know if you have maybe not to come off, whatever device you're on. But if you have another device that maybe you can go to Facebook and turn on. I really wanted you to check.
Oh, okay. I could just look it on my phone.
All right. So I'm gonna play. I'm gonna play an ad in the meantime. Were you able to get through, Basil?
Yes, the commercial playing on Facebook.
All right, cool. All right, so I'm going to play the other clips and hopefully you can get. All right, this is the mix-up.
Down the track, and there's a mix-up here, and in the end.
All right, Basil, your take.
The first thing, the impression I got there, the striking batter never called. He hit the ball and assumed it was a run, and ran down the wicket, and he's almost in the face of the other guy. and the other guy was never ready for the run. But the whole problem started because there was no call initially, right? Because you could see, like, when he hit the ball and he run down, it's almost like, wait, what happened to you? Get running, right? And that's where oftentimes problems could happen. That's why it's so important to be definitive. And I even when I tell the teams that I've coached, I tell the batters, I want to hear in the pavilion, I want to hear no, yes, or we. That's how loud. If you notice, when we watch international cricket, you hear how these guys scream loudly, because probably one of the reasons they do that too, with the crowd noise, you play a ball, and if you don't make enough noise, the non-striker is not going to hear the song. So you got to be very deliberate and definitive in making the call. And I think that was where the whole mix-up started. And fortunate for them, there was no run out, but that could have been a disaster.
Right. Samuel, we've looked at, some close games sometimes, and okay, it's the final 2 overs, and there's this large amount of runs to be had, and sometimes you will see a batsman, he's going to start backing up anyway. He's not even going to give it a second thought, because in the mind is, I've got to get these runs. All right, so he'll risk his wicket. He'll start running. How would you advise a player in a situation like that, or is that the best technique and the only technique at 10th time?
In my opinion, it comes down to the pressure of the moment. Coming down to a close call game like that, it's every intention of the two guys batting out there to get every single run possible. Because in their mind, they're looking at the runs that they need versus the balls remaining. So they're trying to bring that game down. That is why more often than not, you try to see them sneaking a single everywhere possible. Or, for example, or second example, if the guy that is perhaps the better batter is at the non-striker, he wants to get back on strike no matter what, even if it means sacrificing a wicket, providing that there is an additional player that can come in and stay with him there at the crease. So, it comes down to the situation of the game, I believe. It's not always best to put yourself in that position, because you could cost your team a wicket, a vital wicket that could, in the end, win you the match. So, again, it all comes down, in my opinion, to the situation of that specific moment.
Basil, talk about the psychological game that is happening at during those 10 times, 2 overs, maybe 30 runs to win a match.
Mm-hmm.
All right, the bowler has an idea that the batsman is going to go for it. You're going to run, anyway. The captain on the field, he's got to be careful how strategic how he places his fielders. In such moments, do the men between the wickets have the advantage, or do the bowlers? What's your take on that?
It depends on who is bowling and who is batting. So I wouldn't say, but what I would say, fundamental for the batters is to slow the game down in their minds, because that is something how you can make a poor choice, because you haven't slowed the game down to work out. And often at the club level in our leagues and so on, guys often don't think this way. But I think it's important for them, especially the guys who are thinking of playing at the next level, is to start thinking this way. You have to have a plan in your mind. How am I going to get these runs? Where is the best places I can hit the ball to get these runs? And all of those things. So once you have that plan in your mind, you have slowed the game down in your mind. And now it's just about you executing rather than all the noise that could be cluttering your mind. You're more of a clearer mind as to how you can go about getting these runs. But often we don't do this at this level. And I always like to point to MS Dhoni as a great role model in this instance. He's one of the great run chasers in the history of limited overs cricket, where he's able to take the game so deep where other players would have panicked and did something rash, and Dhoni would take it calm and take it to the maybe down to 3 balls to win the game and win the game, because he has calculated in his mind and planned how he can get these runs. And in his mind is there is always time. The only time it's no longer time is when the equation is where you got 3 balls and it's 20 runs. The only way you could even that out is if the guy comes and bowls a no ball or wide and you get an extra delivery and maybe you hit that ball for 4 or whatever the case was, right? Or not a wide, a no ball, for example, right? Or if you bowled a wide and it beat the wicketkeeper, you got 5 runs. So now you're gone to now from 20 in 3 to 15 in 3. So now there's an opportunity for you to win. But you always want to think in your mind always there is time, so you don't panic. And I think a lot of time, even at the international level, you see guys panic. They see the score, but they haven't worked out in their mind the plan. How can I get these runs? And the thing is too, the 2 batters, that's why it's important for the 2 of them when they meet in the middle of the pitch, in between the overs, to discuss between them, this is how we're going to go about planning to get these runs, and so you got a clear thinking. So you won't get a situation you're asking about, a man start flying down the wicket, and the other guy is not cognizant of what is going on, and you get a run out,
Okay, our own Lenny Archibald, he's saying backing up too far will get you run out or a straight drive deflected by the bowler. You agree there, Samuel, right?
Yep, agree 100%. It's part of the game. There's a little bit controversy with the Maniket, but it's all part of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
How often have we seen a run out affected, put into play because of backing out of the crease and a straight drive deflecting something off of a bowler's boot? It's unintentional, but it happens so often.
Right.
My team lost the national championship because of that. That is
There
why
you go.
I have a serious pet peeve. Since then, I have told all my players, do not leave the crease until you see the ball has been hit where it's been hit. We're not trading no wickets for home run. I learned the hard way.
Right. Based on your knowledge, Basil, I know like in baseball, they talk a lot about stealing a base. Can you think of any equivalent in cricket of a guy that would have played that was just good at getting singles?
What I would say from a cricket perspective, we have looked at baseball in terms of running between the wickets and taking some baseball techniques, like similar to how a guy would slide into first base, or slide into second base from first base, stealing a base. We have adopted some of that kind of technique in running between the wickets. So the turn to get 2, instead of you running all the way into the crease and then you got to turn your whole body around. They've come up with, we use techniques that are similar to that kind of sliding in. And I can tell you from first-hand experience, what I used to do with the players was I would tell them, I'm going to time you because, I want to get buy-in from them to show them how much time it changes. And I would have them run the normal way they would run a two, and I timed them. And then the technique that I taught them, I would tell them, no, run the two the same way. And I'm going to tell you, we had players were cutting the time between like 2 seconds and that kind of stuff. And so I said, you see how much fast you got in, that could change the difference between the run out. But the thing what you're talking about, I think this guy was, I could think right off the top of my head, Karl Hooper, because he played with such soft hands where he could drop the ball and run. The batters who were exponents of playing a ball with soft hands and could get the run before even the close infielders could get there, those kind of guys. So it's the skill of playing the ball with soft hands is one. That would be akin to stealing a run, because you drop the ball almost just a few feet in front of your crease, but the keeper, the bat, and the fielders, they can't get there before you all cross and get in. And that would be players like that. And Karl Hooper comes to mind because a lot of West Indian batters of the recent era playing with soft hands and getting quick singles has not been a good skill for us in recent memory. We like to hit 6s and 4s.
But I think back in the day, if I remember correctly, when you were allowed to have a runner when you were injured, I think they used to like to use foul backers a lot, right?
Yeah, you would always use the guys who were quick between the wickets to come in as a runner for obvious reasons, the best guys, And what was always interesting about running between the wicket, some of those guys who were some of the best running between the wicket, if you put them in a straight 40-yard dash with other guys, they would lose the race. So it showed you the running between the wickets, there were other components than just pure speed. There was anticipation and knowing where you hit the ball that you could get there quick enough, and guys being able to turn quickly and get back up the other end, and so on. Because a lot of those guys were never the fastest runners on the team,
Hey, that's an interesting thing about sports, though.
Yes, it's just like like basketball, where you got some guys could dribble with the ball and they run faster than you. But if you and them go in a sprint with the ball, without the ball, you may beat them. But when they dribble in that ball, you see it in the NBA how guys coming on the court and a guy sprinting as hard to keep up with the guy dribbling the ball is incredible.
Okay, folks, you're watching the Bits and Pieces Cricket Podcast. I want to go, we continue along our conversation about running between the wicket. And here we have a little run out and a questionable decision. So I really want you guys to watch this one and we'll be back. All right? Nice and easy, nice and easy. Keeper, it's on you. What's that? There we go, that's a good run out. That's out, man. You kidding? That's a good not out. What's your take on that, Samuel?
Well, looking at it from the first run, they ran it through. The second run, there was an indecision there. That is what caused that few seconds of pause that took that run closer than it should have been initially. Looking at the video, it seems like it was a little bit of a closer call than the the batter would want it to be. It's a bit hard to decide whether he was in or out based on the angle that we got there. But it looks like it's a close call. And remember, at the end of the day, we here in this discussion have the benefit of that slow motion replay as opposed to the standing umpire who was probably under a little bit of pressure as well.
Definitely. Your take, Master.
From my perspective, it looked like that guy was out anyway. But anyway, that's beside the point. The first mistake, the guy turned blind. His bat was in the wrong hand when he turned. When he turned, he should have been looking and saw the fielder. His bat should have been in his right hand, not his left hand. So he turned his back was to the ball. So if he had turned with his bat in his right hand, he would have seen maybe the guy picked up the ball and he would have been in a good position, because remember, his partner is his back is to the plate, right? And so he would have had to he couldn't see the plate, and he turned just running and that caused the indecision, as Samuel stated there earlier. And you know, it was a close call there.
Very close call, right?
Yes. I mean, we got, as Samuel correctly said, we have the benefit of the replay. But then, you know, sometimes some of these umpires be napping, you know.
Exactly, right. Exactly. It just take that, you know, that split second, you look away. You know, you think about something else.
You know, the umpire, you know, the umpire, you want the umpire to make sure they get down, bend down, so they could have their eyes, you know, in a position where they could see the bat and the wicketkeeper with the ball in both in their vision, so they could give as best the decision as to whether or not the guy was run out or not.
Right. All right. Quickly, as we close off, Basil, you know, you've worked with female cricketers. How has been running between the wickets for the female game being?
That's the interesting thing. As I said to you, when I was talking about the timing and so on, it was actually with the female team I was coaching, and they would tell you, I mean, we didn't get a lot of practice days. Maybe we might get 1 or 2 during on a week, but I used to make them like a 2-hour session, and we used to cover everything. We used to start with fielding, although it was indoors, because I've always been a stickler. If you can't field for my team, you can't play. I don't care if you could bat or bowl. You have to be able to field. Right, and that's the one area where, as a team, you can make plays that can be the difference between winning and losing. So we did our fielding. Then we would do running between the wickets, and then we would get into batting and bowling, because I wanted them to understand, because especially the ones who were now learning to play the game, the importance of running between the wickets, because whether it's female or male, if they don't understand the importance, you will see them jogging, the ball hit, and they're looking at the ball rather than their first job is to, after they see where the ball is gone, your priority is to get up to the other end, understanding that you always want to run hard, because when you run hard, you could put pressure on the team and it could cause a fumble. And because you ran hard the first one, that simple fumble can turn into 2. So whether it's female or male, I always emphasize all of those aspects, because players, again, as Samuel said earlier, and myself, running between the wickets is something that is not practiced very much at these local levels, even at some national level teams and so on. They don't practice run. The people assume everybody know what to do, you know. But that can cause you from winning or losing. So it is very important to practice running between the wickets. You muted, Nancy. You muted.
I'm always doing this thing. Yeah. All right, Samuel. Before we close off, do let our viewers know where they can see the Phoenix Cricket Club this weekend, and what's been the results so far? Have you guys won the couple of games you played?
Yes, Phoenix Cricket Club. We have been having a wonderful season thus far. Of the 4 matches, the first match of the league got washed out, unfortunately, due to really bad weather. But going forward, we have won both of our previous matches quite handsomely, I might add. And this weekend, this Sunday, we will be looking to take that result again to get that win. We are going to be at the Bay Park Cricket Field out in Long Island, and we will be taking on a pretty strong elite team. Our guys, we are focused, we're ready, and we're just looking to conquer.
All right.
Okay, great. Okay, Basil, the final word on running between the wickets for any novice, anybody listening out there. What's the final word?
Running between the wickets is a very, very important aspect of cricket. It is one of the ways in which you score runs. Also, is one of the ways that you can get out. So, for a batting team, it is really important that you practice and there's good communication between the batters while they're batting to affect good results in terms of running between the wickets. Now, from a fielding team perspective, you're throwing to get that wicket, either throwing down the stumps or throwing to someone receiving the ball, either the wicket keeper or a fielder at the non-striker's end, is also very important. So your fielding and all those things are is important to if you want to get the out. But running between the wickets can always it's so important. It's often the difference between winning and losing matches. That is how important it is. And I would urge the novices, the club guys, and so on, to take a few minutes, even so, when you practice, to have practice in running between the wickets and to talk about it amongst you guys before you go out on the field, the importance and so on and so forth.
All right. Thank you so much for that. Thank you, viewers, for staying with us. Thank you for being here on the Bits and Pieces Cricket Podcast. A special thank you and shout out to umpire Brian Kane in Texas. Do stay safe, and we look forward to hearing, getting a few more of your bits and pieces on video from Texas. All right. Thank you, Samuel. It was nice having you here for the first time. Right.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks again, Basil. And
all right.
We'll be sure to be here next week. Regardless of the weather, it's always a good day for cricket on Bits and Pieces. So please do join us and do continue to share the broadcast. All right. Thank you all and be well.
All right. Good night.